Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. Whether you're watching us live or you're checking out the replay, we're happy you're here. And we are going to get into answering your local SEO questions here shortly. We got a couple of quick announcements, but first wanted to take a minute, say hello to the guys, see what's going on, and maybe say hello in the live chat and see who's here today. So Chris, how are you doing today?
Been good. Been busy cooking in the labs as usual, and yeah, taking it easy at the moment. Other than that,
Nice. New headphones, or do we just never see you with them?
no, just different ones because like I'm not at home. I'm at a different place today.
Cool. Bradley, how about you, man? How you doing today?
Busy as all hell, but good nonetheless. It's been a good week. Been very productive. Made some pretty big business decisions this week that I think are going to help increase profitability and such. And so it's been an interesting week. I haven't had a lot of time to strategize and plan recently, but I made some time over the last couple of days and actually had some conversations with some colleagues as well, and have kind of some new direction that I want to take some of my operations in. Like, in other words, integrating more AI and stuff like that. And so I think it's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth the effort because it's funny. I was going through my operation costs for my white label link building service, and I know by just implementing AI, like I said, it's not going to be easy, but I can instantly add about $10,000 in additional profit margin per month just by automating some of the stuff that we have personnel doing. And that's not a joke. And so I started on that this morning a little bit, just kind of thinking through it, and spent about 30 minutes thinking through it and kind of planning it out and doing some research and stuff. And even started some prompt engineering to try to get like just start, because I don't even know really where to start. So I went to Anthropic console, and just because it gives you like, there's a module in there for developing prompts. And so I just went in there and just described what it was that I wanted to do. And it gave me a really clear prompt right off the start. And it needs tweaking, a lot of tweaking, but it was a really good starting point. So it's going to be interesting. But this is, I think, where finally, like, I'm starting to put the connected dots between, like, implementing AI for like agents that do very specific things, but then maybe chaining those together. But there's so much stuff that I have not automated that I can in because my entire career I've spent kind of training people, and so hiring personnel to do things. But AI has got to the point now where so much of the stuff that we're paying virtual assistants to do can be done via AI, which will significantly lower overhead or operating costs, which just means it increases profitability or allows me to lower prices. Either way, it still ends up, less bloat, if that's clear. So pretty interesting. I'm hoping to try to get some of this stuff done in fact, in part to reclaim my time, which will allow me to strategize more. So it's been an interesting week, but I'm kind of excited nonetheless.
Nice. Well, I know people will be excited to kind of hear what's going on with that, and I know we're going to be implementing some of this stuff in Semantic Mastery.
Yep.
So, speaking of services and agency stuff, we have been talking about this the last couple of weeks on Hump Day Hangouts. Next week, we are going to be opening up for a limited number of customers for Semantic SEO. We'll be sending out an email with some details about that, the different services that are available. And again, this is stuff that you can use to white label. This is all stuff that Bradley has used, developed, refined over the years, and he's got this stuff down. And we're going to be sending out basically a menu that you can peruse and see if that's going to be a good fit for you, so you can spend more time working on your agency, growing your agency, and using Semantic SEO as your fulfillment partner. So the other thing I wanted to say was A lot of people are really enjoying the newsletter. We've got two newsletters. If you're not aware of that, one, you can go to semanticmastery.com, sign up. We send out two great emails every single week, week in, week out. And if you like that, then you'll definitely love the local mastery newsletter. With that, we condense a lot of great information that Bradley puts out, and we have 5 to 7 actionable local SEO insights every week with action items for each of these. And this is all in a newsletter form that you can read in under 30 minutes, and you should be able to implement one of these things every week, if not taking multiple, and if you have a team, maybe delegating it. So this is a fantastic way to stay up to date, to see what's going on, and to get some actionable changes going. And if that's something you want to check out, you can find out more at localmastery.semanticmastery.com. Last but not least, Bradley, I think you wanted to share a tool, or rather a service, kind of, or both. I forget exactly. But do you want to share a little bit about the podcasting
Yeah,
behind
I'm
the scenes
excited
there?
about this. So Derek Pierce, a lot of you guys that have been around for a while will recognize the name. He's more in the affiliate SEO side of things than really local marketing, and always has been, for the most part. So, but he's got solid training. He's, one of the good guys in our industry, in my opinion. I've always respected him, and I know he's got good training, produces good stuff. I bought several of his kind of training courses and programs over the years, and it's just an all around good guy. So, anyway, I got introduced into his AI podcasting system. I don't know, about 5 or probably 6 weeks ago now. Adam, if you want to drop the link, that would be a good time. Now, I'm going to demo this for you guys just briefly. I want to show you guys what I had. Now, just to be clear, it's a training program, but I purchased it, and then I purchased it for Semantic Mastery so that I could show, excuse me, so that we could put one of our team members, our virtual assistants, into the training and then build it out for Semantic Mastery. Okay. But once I got access to the training course and I logged in, there was a done for you option as well. And I went ahead and purchased that for Tree Care HQ. So we bought the training for Semantic Mastery to be implemented by one of our team members. And then I bought the done for you setup from Derek for Tree Care HQ so that I could have it built quickly without the learning curve. And because then we would have a working automated AI podcast that we could then use when the team member from Semantic Mastery goes to build it for Semantic Mastery. He'll not only have the training, but he'll have a working AI podcast that he can use as kind of a model to make it easier to build, if that makes sense. Okay. So I went ahead and had this. Derek's been building this for me, and it's funny because when Derek sent me the here's, by the way, here I just want to show you guys really quickly. This is the link to the training, just to be clear. And I would encourage everybody to watch this because I'm surprised the video didn't pop. That's weird. There was a video on this page yesterday. Anyway, just check it out. I'm going to demo it for you right now, anyways, guys. But here's the thing, like, so. Well, I had Derek build this inside the dashboard. Once you get into the training program, there's an option to have him do it for you. I went ahead and hired him to do it for me so that it was done quickly, fairly quickly and done right. And it's funny because we got on a call. Derek reached out to me after I purchased and, said, how do I get started or whatever. We scheduled a call and we got on a call and he was like, hey, I've sold dozens and dozens of these training programs, but you're the first and only person that has purchased it done for you setup. And I was like, well, great. And I was like, look, I'm not in any hurry. I'm not. So take your time. Cause he was like, well, this will be good to have that, not be under pressure to have it delivered within a certain time frame, because he said this will help me to develop the fulfillment side of building this for others. And so I've been, it was totally cool with me. I'm under so much, got so much work all the time that I really didn't have a lot of time to devote towards it anyway. So that's why I purchased the done for you. And I said, take your time. We'll work through it. So it's almost 100% complete. We got one more meeting, him and I together, Derek and I, where he's going to transfer all the accounts. We're going to make sure that all the accounts get transferred properly because remember, everything was all set up under their own IPs or, through their PCs and everything, their team. So whenever you go to transfer accounts and change to where I would be logging in from a different account, there's going to be the 2FA, two-factor authentication and all that shit. So we've got one meeting left to schedule, which will be next week, where we'll be on a call together and we'll make all those transfers. so that I can get access to everything and it'll be finalized. But this is incredible, guys. I'm really, really impressed with this. And so I think the training's $700, I believe, which is not a bad price. Yeah, $697, I believe. But here's the thing. I mean, you guys just go to Google and go to Bing. Go to both Google and Bing. And this is just the starting point, right? We just started this. It's only been a couple of weeks that we've been running this. And there was some time where it wasn't, while I was getting it set up. Now that it's pretty much all set up, it's automated to run every Monday and Thursday. And it's really, really interesting. Let me see if I can pull up. Give me 1 second. Let me pause the screen. I'm going to show you guys something else. Let's see. This is going to be podcast questions. Yeah, here we go. So this is the podcast questions that I use Grok to help develop the questions based on 6 different topical categories: marketing and advertising, reputation management, local SEO, I can't remember the 6 categories off the top of my head, but there was basically 6 categories that I used to have Grok create 10 questions for each category. So there was basically 60 questions. And the automated AI podcasting system, it pulls the questions from here, and then it goes out and it's through Make. It has I had to purchase a Make account, so it pulls in from the Google Drive file, or the Google Sheets file, excuse me. It pulls in the question, and then it sends it into 11 Labs. Well, it kind of creates the script and everything, and then it sends it into 11 Labs, which then I had to purchase an 11 Labs account, and I uploaded a whole bunch of content, video and podcast content, so that I could clone my own voice. It takes I think it's like 10 hours of audio or something that you're supposed to upload. It was a lot. But I ended up cloning my own voice in 11 Labs and all of that stuff. And then he set it up with the syndication component. So this is where it gets powerful, guys. And remember, this just got started. So I'm getting to a point with this where I think you guys will see the value of having something like this, not only for your own agency, but also to potentially be setting these up for clients. Because what Derek told me was that, a lot of the podcasters, AI podcasting systems that he sold have been for, various different types of marketing. But that specifically, there's one, I think he said it was a roofer that had one of his students, Derek's students, bought the course and set this up for a local roofing contractor. And the roofer is just crushing it because of the authority that these types of podcasts and the podcast platforms have by publishing content. And when it's all 100% automated, and there, by the way, there's options to semi-automate it too, where you can have a review process in before things get published so that you can edit it and all that. I said I want it fully automated. So I went ahead and just had him set it up that way. But in any case, when you see just within just the 2 weeks that this has been running, the kind of exposure that this is creating for me in just a minute, when I'll show you what's kind of some of the search queries and stuff. And then understand that language models are thirsty, right? They're hungry. Language models are looking to ingest content. They're constantly looking for new content to ingest, and from all different types of formats too. Right? We talked about text. We all know that, right? Audio, video, etc., image, all of that stuff is important. And so this just gives another way to help to influence AI, right? And language model searches. So because a lot of that, which is why we did that the webinar with Jeremy from Press Advantage last week, was because press releases are being consumed by language models right now and being returned, or they're being referenced within AI search. You see a lot of the reference points that are being brought up by AI search and in AI mode and Google, et cetera, are press release references. So podcast references are also super valuable, and especially for language models, right? And the system then pulls the question from that sheet, and I can add as many questions as I want. This will go on indefinitely. And I just have it set to 2 posts per week. But then it goes into the Make, and then from in Make, where all the other kind of automations are all kind of integrated with it. It then goes and creates, it goes to 11 Lab, creates my voice, or adds my voice to the script. And then it goes and it publishes the first podcast. And then from there, it distributes out to all the other podcast platforms. So this is the site that I had set up on a subdomain. It's still in progress, guys. I don't even know how to edit new WordPress sites. I honest to God don't. I had to contact my web guy again today just to find out how to get to the SEO settings of the page. Like, I just don't know how to. I fucking hate WordPress, just to be clear. But this is a WordPress site, and it's on podcast.treecarehq.com. But then you'll see that these are the other. So there's the feed URL. But take a look at this, guys. I'm just going to open up a few of these, and then I'll come back to kind of the process here because I think it's important. I think there's a lot of potential with this, or else I wouldn't be spending time talking about it right now, guys. You know, we don't typically promote other people's stuff unless it's something that we're actually using. But here's Spotify. Here is the Amazon. So I'm on Amazon podcasting or whatever as well, Amazon Music, I guess. So there's that one. Then there's Player FM, but you have to be logged in to see them. So I'm not even gonna. That's why that one's highlighted. Deezer. Here's another one. So this one's got it's called the Climb to Profit podcast. The audio is very good. You know, the cadence is a little bit off, like the inflection and stuff is a little bit off, but the voice sounds like me, right? Just the cadence is just a bit off. But there's Podchaser's another one. Pandora, here's another one. Then we just got SoundCloud set up with I think just on Monday, I think was the first episode that came on the SoundCloud. Which I'm actually going to upgrade SoundCloud because with the free SoundCloud accounts, it's very limited as to how much content you can have. And I'm a heavy SoundCloud user personally because I listen to a ton of music and I love SoundCloud. I'm a paid user. So I'm just going to upgrade to what they call a SoundCloud Pro account, which will allow a lot more hosting and everything else because this is one of the more powerful platforms for sure. And then we have the YouTube channel, a separate YouTube channel that was set up because the podcasts are all turned into shorts. And so this is a separate YouTube channel set up for basically just syndicating the podcast to as shorts. And by the way, if the podcast goes over 3 minutes, it'll still publish, but it'll publish as a regular video instead of as a short. And the shorts drive typically more traffic, especially as you get more, content and such on there. But let me pause the screen for, oh shit, you guys, God damn it. Was my screen paused that whole fucking time? Nobody told me. Jesus. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me go back to where I was looking at. I had the screen pause for a minute. For several minutes. So let me start back at the top here. Here's the sales page. The link is in chat. There was a video there. It might be my cookie blocker that's blocking it, possibly. But anyways, you can scroll through here and take a look at it. So here is the podcast site. This is what I'm sorry, my screen was paused, guys. I wish somebody would have told me. Here's the podcast site. Like I said, I had one of my team members work on developing the site for me because I don't even know how to edit WordPress anymore. I really don't. With the block editors and everything, I have no desire to work in WordPress. Here's the YouTube channel. Whoops, wrong one. Here's the YouTube channel. Here is SoundCloud. Here is Pandora. This one is Podchaser, Deezer, Amazon Music, Spotify. All right. So I'm going to pause the screen again. This time I'll make sure I unpause it, but I want to go back over to here quickly and I'll show you a couple of examples. I'm just opening up Firefox, and let's do this. We'll do Tree Care HQ. Now, I know this is just a brand search for now, but very quickly this started populating. Now, take a look. This is in Bing, right? And then we'll go open up Google and do the same thing. And it's brand new, guys. So, by the way, one other thing I've got is I went to this Legit gig right here. There's two guys on Legit that Gemini guy is the guy on Legit that's supposed to be like the IFTTT network ninja. But I decided to give this dude a try. So I bought this premium syndication network. Which, by the way, we invented that shit. I'm not kidding. So even these diagrams were stolen from us from when we first launched the IFTTT SEO product, which became later Syndication Academy. I developed all those graphics myself, and every other Legit and Fiverr gig provider that's ever built IFTTT networks stole all of our graphics and rebranded them, and it's funny. But anyways, I don't have anybody build them anymore. We just outsource it. So I decided to plug the podcast into this. Now this has not been delivered yet, so it should be delivered by the 8th. So I really expect to see over the next few weeks, once these syndication networks get delivered and start to populate with these podcast episodes, I'm going to do some link building to these different network properties and such. And what happens is we're going to have this massive amount of content going out in audio format, which remember, the audio format can be transcribed and converted into text format also with a simple automation. So we can have a combination of audio and text-based posts being published on autopilot 2 times a week, coming from this site here, this site here, from the questions that were based on the questions that I provided, which I showed here, but again, the screen was paused. So here's just kind of a list of, there was 60, but one of them was already published, so it removed it. So this is the 60 questions. And like I said, if we go back and take a look at this, what's really interesting is we can see that it's populating, and it's kind of interesting that it brought something else in, like, that wasn't related to that query. But Bing does that. I've seen that fairly often with Bing lately, is that they bring in stuff that wasn't really related to the original query. But it's coming out quite good. Like you can see, by the way, I just set up a press release organization, or excuse me, Press Advantage organization page for that, because once I get the syndication network up back, I'm going to publish a premium press release also to help promote this also as well. So I'm going to do a lot to promote this, and then I'll get back to in just a minute how you can apply this to a local campaign as well. But here it is in Google, and so again in Google you can see we've got a lot of stuff popping up that is relevant to this, and so where I see this being, like, after I get this tested for my own agency, and then also for Semantic Mastery, we're going to have one of our team members build this out as well. Then I'm going to start implementing this for local clients. I'm going to build this or have it built for one of my tree care contractor clients, and I will probably eat the expense on that. So I might even end up doing it for one of my own my lead gen assets or something, just to test with it, right? To figure out how to get it to work on a local level. But where I can see this being incredibly powerful is what Derek told me was, I think he said it was a roofing contractor. One of his members or students or whatever set it up for a roofing contractor, and they're just absolutely crushing and dominating their area because because they can cover all sorts of topics, not just specifically roofing stuff, but all different types of topics about, home repair related stuff that just builds a lot of brand authority because of the sheer amounts of content that are being produced and published on these high authority platforms. There's constantly referencing the brand and the associated services that the brand provides, and in the areas or locations. So in other words, you could take a list of search or of questions such as this. These are basic, or these are questions that are not localized because this is for a national campaign. But you could take questions like this and localize them. Now, these are marketing related questions, but I'm talking about questions that are related to products or services that a local business would provide to their consumers in that market. So taking a list of questions that could be all about, different aspects of home repair and things. And I'm just talking about like for contractors, but it could be converted into pretty much any sort of industry as well, with the proper questions. And then you localize the questions, right? You just add location modifiers into the questions. Cities, counties, and possibly even, I haven't tested yet, but possibly even like region, like metropolitan areas, right? Regions, and see how that performs. But like I said, once I get this up and running with my, it's running now, but once I finalize it by having the legit gig back and all that kind of stuff, and and probably another month or so of content, which would be about another 8 posts, I should have a much better idea of how I'm going to implement this for a local contractor type thing. And then once I set that up again, I'll share more about that once it's up and running, especially if it's successful, which I expect it to be. So I'm really, really impressed with this. I think the way that this is working out now, and with the list of questions and the way, like, I'm really impressed with how this is coming out. And so I would encourage you guys to check it out. Like I said, we have not built it yet. Now that we have the done for you setup, it's going to make it easier to then go model this when we go through the training and build it for Semantic Mastery. And then again, like I said, I'll probably end up just having our team member from Semantic Mastery build it out for a local tree service company as well, since he will be the one that has already built it. I'll have him probably build a second version of it for that. But just wanted to share that with you guys, because as we've talked a lot about this lately, we should be publishing a shit ton more content, guys, on external domains in multiple media format, right? So that's why this is perfect, because this is audio that can be converted to text very easily. Then we have press release options, which can be used to promote podcasts, as well as press releases alone as just standalone press releases are crushing it in language model search, AI search, whatever you want to call it as well. So I would encourage you guys to consider that. And then again, publishing content regularly and consistently from an external domain, not the main money site. So that's where, again, even syndication networks will come back into, I think, have become important again. But I don't recommend using your main website as the content source unless you're going to set the main website content to no index. And then it can be used to create as the content generator, the content engine, so to speak, but it won't create competing pages with your main website. So you can create, for example, a blog category on your main website or client's main website or whatever, and set that particular category to no index. And then you could use that one category to publish all of your content in that will then go syndicate out across these apps or these syndication network properties, because then it's not competing with content on the main website because they're all on external domains, if that makes sense. We are developing as part of Brand Expander, because it used to be Syndication Academy, and we rebranded it as Brand Expander, and then it may go back to Syndication Academy, or just Brand Expander with syndication, right? Because essentially I'm having an AI app developed right now that will take a piece of content from any sort of RSS feed, and then basically rewrite it, reformat it into multiple formats, audio, video, text, images, like infographics, etc., and then redistribute those through these types of syndication networks. So even right here, which would be the RSS feed that stands as the content source or the trigger, which then will populate out across all of these other network properties. And then there's tier 2 triggers, where there's the RSS feed from Blogger feeds a secondary tier 1 network, or excuse me, secondary network. The WordPress feed feeds another one, Tumblr feeds another one, etc. And this is all from training that I developed many years ago. Like, I think it was 2015 when I launched that training. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because, again, the content source can, instead of just doing a direct republication from that original content source, we can place an agent between the feed and the trigger point at IFTTT that then will repurpose the content, rewrite it, etc. So that instead of just doing with the podcasting, I'm just going to do straight up syndication. I'm fine with that. But for written content, especially content coming from the blog, I think it's better to reformat it, rewrite supporting or draft supporting content from that original piece that then when it republishes, or not republishes, but publishes out on these syndication network properties, it's supporting content with an internal link pointing back to the original content piece, but it's not a republication. It's new content that has been developed from, like, for example, each H2 of a particular original article source could be its own kind of subtopic for a new article, right? So you could have like an article with 5 H2s, for example, and then it could have 5 supporting articles, because each one of those H2 could end up creating a separate supporting article that then would be published on different platforms. You see what I'm saying? So we can get very, very advanced with this stuff now because of AI. And I think that is where we're going to have an edge over everybody else, right? Is by, if you implement this type of stuff, press releases, automated podcasts, syndication networks with the AI agent that can reformat and develop new content from the original source, so that you're not just republishing, but you're creating new content, but just cascading through this large network of properties and sites. You can't help but get referenced by the language models in that regard, because remember, think about like applying this sort of a process to a tree service contractor, right? In a local market, right? All of a sudden, you've got all this content being published regularly that is being syndicated and republished across dozens and dozens and dozens of properties, many of which are very high authority properties. There's no way that most other local businesses are going to be able to compete with that unless they hire people like us. You know what I mean? And so it's really kind of an unfair advantage that I see. And this is going to be, I mean, I can tell already from kind of the how quickly these things index and everything, that this is going to be very, very good. And I can't wait to see how it applies on a local level too, but I got to prove it out for my own agency first. So anyways, just want to share that with you guys. We'll go ahead and jump into questions now. Sorry it took so long, but fortunately we don't have a lot of questions. So
Cool.
all right, let me back up. go check it out, guys. Derek's a good guy too. And if you end up purchasing it, just let him. If you end up chatting with Derek, let him know that I referred you because he's a good guy. So, all right, let me get to the questions. Where were they? I think I already shut it down. Stand by. I had him open and then I dropped it. All right, there it is. I know my screen's paused this time. I know it. All right, here we go. All right, so the first question is from Huzzy. He says, hey, Bradley, how does a press release organization page help SEO compared to just buying one-off press releases services from Globe Newswire or Access Newswire? Because it becomes like a landing page. It's one of our primary tier one assets, primary branded assets. It has been for at least 6 years, if not 8. Press Advantage organization pages, they look good. They act as like a blog roll or an archive page where it keeps track of like all of the posts that have been or press releases that have been published in that organization are all referenced right on that page. It's an embed hub. It's an embed hub or an entity hub, right? Where you basically can embed the Google Business Profile. You get an NAP reference, so a citation. You can get a link back to the site, but you can also embed the site if it's embeddable. You can also embed the ID page it's got a 1x1 pixel. So it's like a hidden embed that you can add the ID page into the ID page URL section or the secondary embed field in the Press Advantage organization page settings. There's a secondary embed option, and that's where the ID page goes, or what I recommend you put the ID page. And then it can also connect, so Facebook page, etc. So they're very, very powerful. The organization pages when they're optimized and when you are publishing content, and that's part of the reason why we use them in the ID page, because then it ends up becoming like dynamic updates, right? The ID page, which is typically a static page, now has a kind of a dynamic aspect to it because it has an embedded Press Advantage organization page. And if you are publishing press releases, then every time you publish a release, it creates a new reference to that release in the organization page, which is embedded in the ID page. So it gets the bots crawl back to the ID page again. So it's very, very powerful for that. Let me see if I can give you an example of one. Trying to think of, I probably got a client site I could pull up. Give me 1 minute. I got it paused again, so stand by, guys. Oh, come on. Here's one. Here's an example. All right. This is for a tree service contractor. That's not what I wanted. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, guys. One more. All right, here's an organization page, and I'll show the ID page in just a moment as well. All right, let me grab the ID page. I know it's still paused. Give me 1 minute, guys. All right, here we go. So here's an example. This is the Press Advantage organization page. And so this is what I was talking about. Now that looks like that's the home page. That is the home page. That should be the location landing page. So that needs to be updated. But here's an example. This is the organization page, right? See, they look good. By the way, there is an iframe version of it, which gets rid of this header. So you can, that's what we embed. So that's I_ right there before organization. And you'll see it gets rid of that header and everything. So this is the URL that you would embed. But then if you take a look at the ID page, you'll see that here. That's the ID page. Oops, right here. So, and that's cool. Before it was showing it was blocked. But so here's what I'm talking about, because now every time we publish a post, that goes onto this organization page, right? And so it updates this section of the ID page. And then when you build links to this, right? Now you've got, whenever you're building links to this, you're powering up, think about it, all of the press releases that are referenced or linked to from within this archive page, basically. You're also getting the Google Map, Facebook page, and the website itself, plus the 1x1 embed, which is, I guess, hidden behind this now. But you can usually see this little tiny square right underneath this website preview section, and that's where the ID page goes. And here's the ID page, right? And so again, it's just creating this asset that not only can rank, but it, you know, it looks good and it acts like a landing page because everything in here is specifically tied back to that one company. So we use this as a very, you know, critical part of our process for producing results for clients, and we have for many, many years. So it's just a really nice. And by the way, if you look at, like, this one was just published yesterday. Take a look at this. Like, you can see, like, these press releases look great. The individual releases do. Again, it's basically acting like a landing page. And it also, each individual release has all of the or at least a number of releases that are, you know, listed down here as well. So whether you're hitting the organization page with links or an individual press release with links, you're still getting to power up the other kind of related press releases. So it just becomes a very, very, like, I love Press Advantage, the site for building links to press releases. When I'm doing press release stacks, I always use the press release URL from Press Advantage as the target URL in the subsequent releases in the stack. Instead of linking to like Yahoo or Globe Newswire or USA Today, I always link back to the Press Advantage domain because, again, or the organization page, because it's powering up this plus all of these assets plus all of the other press releases, if that makes sense. So that's why I prefer to use Press Advantage. The press release is published on Press Advantage as the target URLs within stacks, if that's clear. Okay. It was a good question, but we're going to move on. Okay. Next one is from Alex. He says, hey, Bradley, do you think it's smart to create a badge with a link back to the directory and have the business owner install the badge on their site to pass some link juice to the directory site? Kind of how websites like UpCity do, where they have you embed a badge on your site. You could test with it. Reciprocal links on external domains typically don't work that well. They don't usually perform well. Like Google killed that many, many years ago. Like, again, reciprocal links, like before PageRank was taken away from the public, like before Google removed PageRank ratings and everything from the public, which was, again, many years ago, there was a, you know, very old school SEO tactic was reciprocal linking. That's why there was, you know, it used to be every time you would get into a directory, they would ask, you know, require a link back, or else they wouldn't, you know, your directory listing would be unverified or come down or whatever. Seriously, if any of you guys have been doing SEO for a long time, you'd know that, right? They used to, almost all directories used to do reciprocal linking. They would require a link back to their directory in order for them to make it live and keep it live. And that was because of what you're just asking for. There was an SEO benefit from it. But the thing, so Google caught on to that many years ago and killed it. And before PageRank went away, you could see that, because basically reciprocal links from two different domains would kill any passing of PageRank between those two sites. If that's clear, those two links would cancel each other out. And so it really became, look, I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm just saying you can test with it. I don't know how effective it is anymore. We got away from doing reciprocal linking many years ago because when PageRank was still something that we had access to, you could see it, you could test it, measure it, and we could tell that, like, and Google came out and saying reciprocal link doesn't affect it or influence SEO anymore. And so that said, you know, apparently, and Marco Benavides, one of our former partners, he was one of the guys that would like study the patents and all that kind of stuff. That shit makes my head hurt. Like, honestly, like trying to read those patents and everything. No kidding. I always preferred just letting somebody like him that enjoyed that kind of stuff do it and then summarize it, put it in layman's terms for me. You know, and that's how I would understand the algorithms, by letting somebody much smarter at that type of stuff decipher the patents and then, you know, explain it to me in layman's terms. But I remember he said many years ago that the patent actually says that in reciprocal links kill PageRank transfer even when it's on the same domain. So having two pages on the same domain that link to each other kills any passing of PageRank. And I 100% believe that then. I still believe it now, but I got away from doing any reciprocal linking from within the same domain. So internal linking, I'd go out of my way to make sure there was no reciprocal linking anywhere on the site. And now if you go look at like my site templates that I set up for Tree Guys and everything, it's all about reciprocal linking on the same domain, right? You create one page for every service, product or service, one page for every location that they're trying to target, and you reciprocal link between them. So within each service page, there's an element block that lists and links to every location page that service is available to. On each location page, there's an internal link block that lists and links to every service page or product page that's available at that location. So what is that? That's one great big reciprocal link. Every service page links to every location page. Every location page links to every service page. You see what I'm saying? And when I start, and for years I avoided any kind of sort of reciprocal links on the same domain because of what I understood from that patent. But then it was 3 years ago when the algorithm changed, or roughly 3 years ago, when the algorithm really shifted from a keyword-based algorithm to an entity-based algorithm. And I started doing a lot of testing, what I call category and topic research, or category and topic optimization. You guys know about that, should know about that. I've talked about that dozens and dozens of times over the last couple of years. But anyways, that's when I started testing with reciprocal linking on the same domain. And sure enough, it created a significant gain, performance gain, and how the sites would react in search, right? We're not talking about, but by the way, it also helps to influence the link, like when building links. Think about it. When you build a link to a service page and the configuration of the setup, the formatting that I just explained with the internal linking scheme that I just described. If you build a link to a service page, what happens? All the relevant link equity, right? The link equity and relevance flows through that service page to all of the relevant locations because of the internal linking scheme, which those are contextual links within the content body of that article, of that page, if that makes sense, meaning within the body tags. Contextual links are given more significance than navigation links. That's why this is more effective. So when you build a link to a service page, it's going to flow through that page and hit that element block with all the internal links to the location pages. So that link equity and relevance is going to flow to each one of those location pages. And when you build a link to a location page, what happens? Same thing. It flows down to the service page or product page block, whatever it is, or element with internal links. And it's going to flow to all the relevant service pages. And remember, because there's a reciprocal link between them, it creates like an internal link wheel, because the link equity goes into the original page and then it flows down to the page to all those internal links to all the, if it's a service page, to all the location page, but then each location page has an internal link block that goes back to all the services that are available at that location. So you create like one link wheel that then all of a sudden just boom, like exponentially increases into all these additional link wheels between one service page and one location page, right? So each one kind of has its own link wheel. So it becomes very, very powerful. So regardless of whether PageRank would actually pass through reciprocal links or not, which I know on external domains it does not, but on internal linking, I found that that's actually beneficial. Now, again, many years ago when we first kind of, and I learned about this, and I went out of my way to avoid reciprocal links on the same domain. It didn't affect it, like it didn't provide performance gains like it does now. But now it absolutely works. Whether it passes PageRank or not, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It helps the site to perform better. And I think it makes it easier for Google to understand the site too when you link. So to get back to your question, do you think it's smart to create a badge? I don't know if it's smart or not. I don't know if it's effective or not. You could test with it. I know that it's not supposed to pass PageRank. We know that it doesn't pass PageRank, but will it have a gain? Like, will it produce a gain in search performance or not? Or will it make it drop? I don't know. You'd have to test. Fortunately, you could do that with a couple of clients. You could just ask them, hey, look, I want to try. Look, always be transparent, right? You could tell a client, like, look, I want to try something to see if we can get better results for you. If I sent you a badge, and or if I do it for you, can I add a badge to your site in the footer that just says, powered by or whatever, and then link back to your directory? Just be transparent and ask your clients. Just say, look, I want to do this. Set it up for free, right? Just say, look, would you mind if I added this badge to your site? I want to test something. I want to see if this, and if it, monitor it, do it for a handful of sites, 5 or 10 sites, and then see if it produces a gain. If it doesn't, just go remove it, right? Or if it causes something to drop a little bit, remove it. If you have your own lead gen assets, do it with that first. But you can always ask clients. Like, again, guys, I always try to be transparent with clients. And if I'm trying something new and I don't have enough of my own assets to test on, and I feel it's safe enough to test on a client site, then I'll bring it to their attention. I'll just be honest with them. Like, hey, look, I got something I want to test. Would you be okay with me testing with your site? And if they give me the permission, then I run with that, So check it out. And I don't know. I just test with it and you can find out. I don't think it's all that important to create reciprocal links from external domains anymore, but it may still help. So give it a shot. Next question. I'm just wrapping up the DHA SOPs, and I did have a question about reactivation or smart review setup. Are we using directory domain, name, account, and phone to do the reactivation emailing and SMS campaigns on behalf of the client? No, you should set up a whole separate domain for that. Or are we setting up the client on their own email workspace account in the LLG snapshot? Well, yeah. Okay. So to be clear, if it's when I set up clients, let me see if I can pause the screen and demonstrate this very quickly. Give me 1 minute. This will make a lot more sense if I can show you. All right. Here's an example. David Morgan, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you here in a long time. Let me get over here. And I agree with you, David. Internal links, that's what I was just basically stating. The reciprocal links internally tend to perform really well. Externally, I don't think it's gonna. I mean, it's been years since I've even tested it because I knew that it killed PageRank, and it seemed to be worthless. But remember, we're not just optimizing for Google anymore now, guys. So reciprocal links may be beneficial for language models, right? You know, I have no idea. You'd have to test with it. It's not something that I've got slated on my to-do list for testing, though, not anytime soon. So. But thanks, David, for your input. So here's an example, guys. This is Woodlawn Trees and Tree Care. They are one of my DHA, they're a client that I sold just one of my front end services to. All they have is reactivation and reviews. That's the only service that they're subscribed to right now. And so that is my domain, feedback@rating.page. That's my domain. So just so you guys know, you can set up a workspace account. And when you integrate, let me just show you, when you click it in high level, when you're adding a workspace account as your email provider, which you should be at all times, in my opinion. I did a shit ton of testing in high level with their, what used to be Mailgun, but now is Lead Connector Email, which is just them reselling Mailgun. Like the inboxing and deliverability and everything for cold emails and things like that, or emails where there's not a lot of kind of history between in communication history between the two, whoever's communicating within that email chain or thread or whatever. It's not great. That's why I always recommend using like something like Instantly or whatever as kind of the cold emailing app. But once you have a conversational, like a transaction or something where it becomes more conversational, right? After the cold email and it becomes an actual conversation, it gets piped in. Like as soon as we get from our directory outreach process, as soon as we get a contact that replies from Instantly, it creates a contact record in high level, and then we take over the conversation in high level. But what I'm getting at is specifically for local business clients that you sell this to or sell whatever to. Whenever you go, I always recommend that you have a dedicated domain. If I show you Gmail right here, here's the email address that you would add, that you would be sending from. In this case, it's feedback@rating.page. And then the password is an app password that you create in Google. It's a simple process. Here's the instructions on how to do it. And I don't know what the hell happened there. That's weird. It's like, that's really weird. Refresh that. That's odd. Anyways, it's a very simple process. But once you create the app password within your Google account, then save that password in a spreadsheet or whatever. And you can use the exact same email and the exact same app password to add this email to every sub account. And so just to kind of be clear about that, here's Instantly. Let me show you. We have feedback@rating.page. That is my email address that I use for all LLG or clients that I put on high level. So whenever I sell a tree service contractor client, we use my email account, feedback@rating.page, because it's pre-warmed, right? It's got a good reputation. Health score is 100%. It's used on every single one of my sub accounts until the client becomes subscribes to a higher level. Once they hit a particular threshold, then I will go set up workspace account for them. Or if they already have a workspace account, I'll integrate their workspace account with the high level app. But I only do that once they've hit a certain retainer level, because I don't know how long they're going to stick. I'm not going to go through the process of setting up a new workspace account for a client that's only going to be with me for a month. And you have no idea. So I wait until they hit a particular retainer level. And then I will go in, and if they already have a workspace account, then I'll schedule a call with them, or we'll get on a Zoom meeting and we'll knock it out very quickly. I just need them to be able to provide permissions while I get it set up. Or I will, if they don't have a workspace account, then I will set one up for them. I don't even charge them separately for it. It's just part of the retainer. I'll go create a workspace account and then integrate it. Well, I'll put it into warming because I'm going to warm everything up and instantly. And then I will plug it into their high level account. But in the meantime, there's no need for waiting for a domain to warm up or anything. So I can sell. And by the way, just so you guys can see, this is what the list reactivation page looks like, because that's what you were asking about, right? So here's the discount funnel. So we can set immediately, we can send out right after I deploy the sub account. Like the moment that I deploy the sub account, this page right here is already built, because all of this is driven through custom values. So when I deploy a sub account, I take all the contact information that has been collected by the client when they submitted the intake form after purchase, after checkout, they go to an intake form. It gives me all the details that I need that then just get copied and pasted into the custom values that I have set up in the snapshot. So as soon as I hit, deploy or save on the custom values or whatever, this page, which is on another domain of mine, which is claim.page. You guys see, I was just showing you the email address was rating.page, right? So it's feedback@rating.page. So we have a rating.page, which I'll show you that in just a moment as well. And then we have a claim.page. Well, this is for the discount funnels. So I use the same two domains. As you notice, this is on a client sub account, but all clients are going to get their discount funnel set up on a subdomain with their branded subdomain, then claim.page. This way, everything is branded for them, but it's on a domain that I control and I own, right? The same thing goes with the excuse me, where was I? Back here with the email that we use for sending notifications for review requests or for database reactivation campaigns, et cetera. Everything is going to go through my domain until they reach a certain level, subscription level. And then I will go in and integrate their own workspace account or create one for them, if that's clear. And that way you can immediately, the moment that you get that sub account deployed, and configured properly, which again, if you set everything up, you can do almost everything through custom values, which makes it so much easier. Then we can start immediately. The only one thing that takes a little bit more time than anything else right now is the phone numbers, getting the phone number approved. For a while, I was doing 800 numbers or toll-free numbers because they were getting approved a lot faster. Now it's the other way around. It's actually the A2P verification is which has an expense, by the way. That costs $25 to do the verification process, but the toll-free number verification, I believe it's free. At least it used to be, but I know they just recently changed that. So I've got to go back through and go through that process again to see. But the A2P verification is done usually in about 3 days now, 3 business days. So again, getting it, that's the one thing that I will tell a client when we sell them on the service. Either the reactivation and reviews campaign is the service, which by the way, you can take a look at that here, reviews.treecarehq.com. That's the checkout page that I send to the client whenever they decide they're going to check out. And this is also in the email sequence. So again, I show the discount funnel. That's what I just showed you. Then the claim page, which that's the last thing I wanted to show you, was this here. The reviews, that's going to go back to the smart reviews here. And then you'll see that the claim.page domain, or excuse me, that the claim.page domain is used for the discount funnel. But the rating.page, that's for this here. This is the page that the clients go to that are on the lower tiers that don't have access to the app, I don't give my clients that are on the lower tiers access to the high level app. We use that internally for managing their campaign, and it's pretty much all automated anyway. They have to hit that higher level. Like so get back to the question was, do you add your own email address or their email address? Like I said, when they hit a certain level, we then add their email address. That's when they get access to the high level app too, by the way. Any of the lower price services, we keep everything in-house to where they don't have access to the app until they hit a certain level. So this is every single one of my clients automatically have this page here where they can go at the end of every job, or they can have somebody on their team do it, whatever, or once a week, whatever. They can just go directly to this page and submit their clients or their customers' information. So at the end of every day, I tell my tree contractors either do it once at the end of every day, just go in at the end of each day, pull up this page, bookmark this page, go to this page and enter in the job, the contact information, just name, phone, and or email. It has to be one or the other of these two. I always recommend both. But then you just submit each of the names for the jobs that you completed that day, or do it all at once a week, right? Like every Friday afternoon or whatever, go in and enter all your customers that you completed jobs for that week, because this automatically adds them into that system, the review request system, which then sends out from feedback@rating.page the email requests and everything else. Like I said, the phone number is the only thing that can kind of hang things up with this type of a setup. But what I always tell the clients is that we'll have this campaign up and running within the next 7 days. And so what happens, and I've never had anybody really give me a hard time about that. So I just tell them, like, it's going to take a few days to get everything set up and configured. We should have this up and running within the next 7 days. And usually before 7 days, because the A2P registration stuff, like I said, is usually back in about 3 days, then we like to under promise and over deliver. So if we say it's going to take roughly 7 days for us to get it set up, and within 5 days we contact them and say, hey, we're ready to go, then they're happy, they're pleasantly surprised. So that's what I always do. And then, by the way, if you had to try to get some reviews in for a client immediately, because here's the thing, there's a little bit of a delay between when they check out. So when they've made a purchase, they parted with their money, and the service starting, because of the configuration and the registration process and everything else. So if it's one of the clients that aren't so understanding, or that are starting to get a little bit antsy, like they're second guessing or having buyer's remorse because they purchased something and they're not seeing a tangible deliverable immediately, then there is another method. I'm not going to reveal it here, but there is a method that I talk about in the mastermind and in the SOPs, where we can get on the phone with them and generate minimum of 10 reviews within the next 7 days. We could do that immediately. And so there is a way to get some reviews coming in while you're waiting on a phone number to be approved in the sub account, if that is if that's a problem. But again, I've not had a problem with that. When I just tell the client right out of the gate, look, when you check out, we need about 7 days to get your campaign set up. And before we're going to actually start the outreach for the database, the list reactivation, or what I call it a comeback campaign when I'm talking to tree care contractors. Shaking the bushes is the name of the product, or the service, but it's a comeback campaign, right? So that's what it's showing right here. And I say it's going to take about 7 days. And then, like I said, usually within 5 days, I contact them and say, we're ready to go. Is it cool to start? And then, yeah, let's go, and then we're off to the races. All right. So hopefully that's clear. All right, moving on to the next question. That was another really good question. But again, guys, like I said, keep track of when you set up an app password for whatever domain, keep one domain. Just buy one domain that's generic. Like, guys, I spent a lot of money. I spent like $800 on each of these 2 domains that I just showed you. Where was that? Email services, claim.page and feedback, or rating.page, excuse me. And then I just had to renew them, and the renewal fees were $350 for each one of them. So I just renewed them like in the last couple of weeks, no kidding. So they weren't cheap, but I love those domains because those are great for this type of a service, right? I mean, yeah, look at those pages, right? I think it's perfect. So it's an easy way to kind of get stuff set up. And when you set up an app password for a Google account, like I said, you can then use that same workspace account for as many sub accounts as you want. And you only have to set up the app password one time. That's it. And then you use that same one every single time. And as soon as they get to a higher paying level, then you can integrate their own workspace account, which I highly recommend that you do at that point. Okay. Next question. Do you usually activate the offer follow-up sequence for all the products at once, or just the one you focus most on the delivery call? Just the one, only do one offer at a time. One offer at a time. You can add into the automations, the sequence at the end of each of those nurture sequences, you can add a step to automatically add. Once they complete that, you can put a wait step in and then say add to another workflow and assign. So you can daisy chain offers, nurture sequences together through the workflows by just adding that element the action element, which will add them to another workflow. I don't like to do that. I prefer to do it manually, or have a VA do it right now, just because we kind of look at the activity levels of the emails and things like that to try to determine how engaged they are. Because like I said, if I can tell that a contact is more engaged with the emails and such that we're sending to them, then I'll do some additional things. Like I talked about this before, like we'll publish a rep video. I've got like 1,400 credits in rep video, no kidding. So it's like, it doesn't, I mean, I have no reason not to publish a rep video. If I feel that the contact is engaged and they just need a little bit something to push them over, like, get them to pull the trigger, right? Then we'll do some additional things for them, like value added type things to try to entice them to make that purchasing decision. Okay. So just one at a time. Why do I have to keep paying for Yext Power Listings every month? Can't I just pay once? No, not for Yext. If you want to pay, Yext is because it syncs, and that's why you're paying for it. If you don't like that, don't use it. Go get citations built by a provider with a one-off service. That's it. Just make Yext is convenient. It's fast. It's high authority. You can make changes quickly. I like to use Yext for that reason, but unless you can find Yext at a decent price, I don't recommend it. Right? So contact Yext, complain to them. You don't have to keep paying for citations. I do recommend it. By the way, if you go through the local OPSET system that we just launched last week, you'll see where I provided multiple other sources that so that you're not paying consistently for citations. Instead, you're paying one-offs instead. Okay. Don't use Yext if you don't like it. That's all. There's plenty of other options. Jay says, if I have a service area of business in Texas and I have location pages for multiple cities in the metro area, my current location landing page slug for the city of Austin is service area is Austin, but what is the best way to nest specific parts of Austin, North Austin, West Austin? Should it be URL/service area/West Austin or service area/Austin/Austin/West Austin? Well, technically, if you're talking about supporting pages within the city of Austin, so neighborhoods or districts within the city, they should be nested as child pages under the Austin page. That's proper hierarchy. Does that make sense? So you would make them either child pages of the Austin page or posts in the Austin category. However, I'm not sure how you have your site configured, Jace, but if it's, if you've got service areas in, like this, if this is your URL structure, then West Austin would be a post, right? Because this would be a top level page. This would be a child page. This would be a post. That makes sense. But I don't know, why would you want that in the URL structure though? That's a sincere question, not a gotcha question. Like, and I know you can't answer, but why have that in the URL slug? That makes no sense to me. I don't understand why SEOs do that. Like, get rid of that. Like, you can have a service areas page, a navigational page on the site that makes it easy for visitors to find where they identify where they want to go on the site based on the location that's most relevant to them. But there's no reason to have that in the URL structure, right? That creates there's less link authority, internal link authority. Each time you add another folder or directory, so another level to the URL structure, you're losing internal link equity. Like, you lose value. The closer it is to the root domain, the more internal link equity the page receives. So why have that service area section in the URL at all? That makes no sense. And I'm not picking on you, Jace, just to be clear, but I don't understand why people do that. Like, service area or locations, and then it becomes part of the silo. And so you just create all of this. It doesn't make any sense to me. You can have a service area or locations pages on the site that is a navigational page only for the visitor to quickly identify which location is most appropriate to them. But that doesn't need to be in the URL structure. You could go straight from domain.com to Austin, or top level product or service pages, or top level location pages. Now those are top level pages, hence the name. And then you would add your supporting pages as child pages under the top level page. That way it's not 3 hops away from the root. It's only 2 hops away, supporting pages, right? So I would have a page for Austin that would be domain.com/Austin or Greater Austin, right? Which is the region, right? But that is what you could actually put as the service areas page, right? Is Greater Austin, or on the homepage if Greater Austin was the region that you targeted. So I'm just saying you could do that. But for the city of Austin, I would have a top level page for Austin, and then I would have sub pages or child pages for the districts or areas or sections or whatever, communities, whatever that it is that you're targeting more granularly within Austin. They would be child pages of the top level page. That's the appropriate way to do that. Okay, and it's going to give you better SEO value too. All right, we got to wrap it up here, guys, in just a minute. I think this is the last question, and we'll look at comments. So, do we know if a monthly press release add-on is needed for a semantic links campaign? How do we know? James, right now, if you have a budget for it, do it. I'm not kidding. Press releases that we sell it through semantic links are not really much of a profit center. There is a little bit of margin there. I'm not going to lie, but it's not much. I literally offer that as a convenience factor for our clients. But if you're doing client work, James, get your own Press Advantage account. Like, I'm not kidding. You will save yourself a lot. Look, guys, I think everybody doing local marketing services right now should be using press releases. Full stop. You want to get in language models, press releases is one of the ways to do it. Another one of the ways to do it, podcasts, which is what I was showing earlier, wherever the hell that I closed it down already. And you can do it other ways too, but press releases are crushing it in language search right now, like, or AI search and AI mode. You'll see the references all the time, right? So I highly recommend everybody that's providing local marketing services should be using press releases, which means go get your own Press Advantage account, right? We did that offer with Jeremy just last week. I don't know if it's still open, but go check it out. Let's pause for a minute. See if I can find that link real quick. I'll put it in chat and you guys can go check it out. Here it is right here. I'll put this in chat, guys. We'll see if it's open too. And we got to wrap up. I know we're over time. See if it goes up. smshort.link. No, I'm logged in there. That's why it won't. It's going to take me into my dashboard. So stand by. We'll go here. Get your own Press Advantage account. Look. Yeah, that's it right there. It's still up. Anyways, I would highly encourage you to do it. If you've got enough clients to support that, then I would absolutely do it. But to answer your question about how do we know if it is needed for semantic links campaign? Because look, we don't use press releases for link building purposes. We use press releases for building branded location authority and for improving map search. But now there's that third component, which is for optimizing for AI search. I'm not kidding. So yes, you get links from press releases, but I don't use press releases because of the links. I use press releases because language models are ingesting them and referencing them. You can use it to build branded location authority, and it can also help to improve maps ranking performance, which is why we will link or do map embeds, but then also link to Google review, share URLs, images. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that we do with press releases specifically to push authority into the Google business profile. But I'm telling you guys, anybody offering local marketing services, press releases should be absolutely integrated into your deliverables, your services. No question in my mind whatsoever. And so if you're going to be doing it regularly, get your own account. It's a lot more profitable in that way for you. I mean, I'll take your money. We'll publish them for you. It's no problem. But I would encourage you to get your own. You'll be more profitable. Okay. Yeah, that's what. Awesome, David. I'm going to go ahead and jump into comments now, guys, and then we're going to wrap up because we're 7 minutes over. David says, I used your IFTTT when you brought it out 10 years ago. Yeah, we were building them for a long time for people. Brand stacking. Yep. 2015. Yep. Reciprocal linking. Yep. Let's see, Alex, would you also use single 866 number A2P verified for all SMS campaigns responded for sub accounts? No, as far as I know, you can't do that, Alex, because each sub account you have to issue the phone number within each sub account, right? So we do have one toll-free, like for the LLG local lead generation account. So the LLG brand that I set up. So Felling Pro for me, it has one. If it doesn't have its own Google business profile, then it's going to have one toll-free number that is common across all LLG sites, Felling Pro sites, right? The ones that have a GBP have their own dedicated unique phone number, but the ones that don't have a GBP or that have not been assigned to a client are going to use the same toll-free number, but that toll-free number is managed and hosted through my directory TreeCare HQ sub account. You understand? So my DHA master or agency sub account is where I issue the toll-free number for the LLG brand. And then I use that same toll-free number for all LLG sites. But the notifications coming from each individual sub account has to come from a phone number issued from that sub account. So that's why I was saying before, toll-free numbers were being approved a lot faster, but now it's the opposite. Now it appears that A2P local numbers, but there's an expense, $25. That's why we don't typically do that until we have a paying client. So again, for the LLG branded sites, if it's an 800 number that is managed through the DHA master or agency sub account, then whenever we monetize that LLG site by either renting it out, selling the leads, or assigning it to a contractor or client that we've sold retainer-based services to, because I use that as the LLG site as a sales tool, then we will go in and create the new phone number for that LLG account, register a phone number, because now we got a paying client, so we're using their money to pay for the $25 A2P registration fee and for the usage of the phone number, et cetera. Does that make sense? So again, we're building our assets using our clients' money, right? OPP, right? Or OPM, other people's money. All right, hopefully that's clear. David says, okay, that's actually great business advice. I needed literally a great nugget. Hi, thank you for the valuable content. Does the mastermind include snapshots? Yes, Rashid. Very quickly, I know we're way over, guys. I apologize for that. But all the snapshots everything that I provide is done via SOPs. And like, for example, the DHA stuff here you can see right here, guys, I'm constantly adding to and updating SOPs, and I always post in here about it. But here's the DHA or the Directory Hybrid Agency SOPs. And in here, these are in proper sequential order. You can build the whole DHA program on your own by following these SOPs. They're all available for you right here. And so if we go take a look let me get in here. I'll just give you a quick example. We're going to go to the directory CRM. Here's the SOP for that. And right here is the directory, the snapshot is here, right here. If you own your own high-level account, then you will need to import this snapshot, DHA Master Directory CRM. For all DHA program members or any mastermind member that wants to use the managed high-level account, which we call local leads app, we have a whole separate high-level SaaS or pro account set up specifically for DHA program members, where we will deploy all the sub accounts for your master or your agency sub account, plus any of your LLG branded sub accounts and any of your client sub accounts. We will deploy those for you with all our integrations and pre-configurations, everything done for you, so that you can focus on marketing and sales instead of the tech. That's why we do that for our DHA program members, because I want people generating more revenue, not fiddling around with high level all the time. So we provide managed, done for you high level accounts for DHA program members, and anybody in our mastermind has access to use our high level accounts at $197 a month, where we will deploy them for you with our integrations, everything pre-configured, so that you can focus more on the marketing and sales, the revenue generating things instead of the tech things. If that makes sense. So yes, we do provide snapshots for everything that I build. It's available for all mastermind members. And so back over here, wherever that was, again, those are the SOPs. We have other Flowster SOPs here, but the snapshots are always listed in their corresponding SOP, if that makes sense. Okay. Google and now AI all love the same thing. Content is really like cake for them. Yes, it is. David says, I can automate the IFTTT ring builds now, but I like to believe I have upgraded to your syndicate to a 3.0 level. Yeah, probably. David, it'll be really interesting for you. I'd love to get your feedback when we launch the N8N app that we're developing right now, which is like what I guess you would be calling 3.0, because it takes an original piece of content, reformats it, creates supporting content, different formats, image, video, audio, etc., and then publishes on various platforms. Not the same piece, but all this new content created from one content piece and 100% automated. We're in the process of just starting on the distribution app now. The content engine agent, there's the content agent, and then there's a distribution agent. The content agent is like 90% complete now. We're getting real close to that one being almost completely done. So in a few weeks, I'll have it ready for you guys to take a look at. All right, okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Sorry for making it so much longer, Adam. I appreciate you